On revcom.us this week, there is what we call a cheers. This week, we shouted out a cheer to the singer, songwriter, and actor Jill Scott, who first came into the nationwide eye with the Philadelphia legendary group The Roots. We applauded her rendition of the StarSpangled Banner at the 2023 Essence Magazine Festival in New Orleans at a packed Caesars Superdome, which is, as Revcom said, yes, that Superdome where some tens of thousands of black people were crammed into the most horrendous living conditions after Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Scott wrote her version of the U.S. national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, more than 30 years ago when she was a 19-year-old living in North Philadelphia, and she has been performing it while touring this year. Essence Magazine tweeted out, quote, "Everyone please rise for the only national anthem we will be recognizing from this day forward. Jill Scott, we thank you," end quote.
Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat and their hands. But you'll die in this place, and your memory erased. Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slave.
Oh, say, can you see by the blood in the streets that this place doesn't smile on you, colored child, whose blood built this land with sweat in their hands, but will die in this place and your memory erased? Oh, say, does this truth hold any weight? This is not the land of the free, but the home of the slaves. Again, not the land of the free and the home of the brave, but the home of the slaves. Know this U.S. national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, was written by Francis Scott Key, who grew up on a slave-owning plantation in Maryland and bought and sold slaves himself. He wrote a verse that condemned the British, who the U.S. was fighting when he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. What for? For promising to free escaped slaves.
But he makes a reference to the hireling and the slave in the third verse. That's a reference to how the British encouraged enslaved Americans to come to their side during the War of 1812 to get their freedom, which thousands did.
He refers to the foul footsteps of the slaves.
Francis Scott Key spoke of the inferiority of black people. And while this history is not my main purpose in this brief commentary on Jill Scott's rewriting of the Star-Spangled Banner, it reveals just how deeply woven into the fabric of this country that this song remains the song that people stand for at every damn sporting event for which players have been driven out of professional basketball and football teams for refusing to stand, and more recently for taking a knee. Jill Scott's rendition at the Superdome brought forth two responses, one from the Republican fascists who went apeshit, racist and fascist over her song. Some tweeting, that she should lose her citizenship. Not an idle threat when Pig Trump, currently the runaway frontrunner in the Republican nomination for president in 2024, has been threatening, quote, casting out, end quote, those who, quote, hate our country, end quote. The other big response is from masses of people, especially middle-aged and older black women and men, expressing big love for Scott for singing the truth that, as one person put it, we live this every day. Here in America, there's not a day that goes by that some one of us is not experiencing that this is slavery in America and it's not over, end quote. I want to say this to all who applauded the righteous truth that Jill Scott sang. We hear you. And we hear the same in responses to TikToks by the Revcoms and by our leader, Bob Avakian, that speak the truth of the oppression of black people in this land of the thief and home of the slave. But as Bob Avakian has said, quote, the truth will not set us free in and of itself, but we will not get free without the truth. Freedom requires struggle. Freedom requires knowing the problem you face. For one to really be free requires freeing all, emancipating all of humanity. To know how to do that requires science that goes to the roots of the problems we face and then ripping up those roots and changing the world from the oppressive nightmare it is today to what it could be. And that's where revolutionary leadership comes in. That's where Bob Avakian and the Revcoms come in. That's why if you are serious in your convictions, if you believe the truths that Jill Scott sang carry weight, then you have to act on them, because there is a way out of the madness. Get your hands on and dig into the proclamation, We Are the Revcoms, and the declaration we demand a whole new way to live, a fundamentally different system. And get into the Bob Avakian interviews on this, the RNL show. You just saw a part of them where Bob Avakian puts forth a central part of the strategy. Fight the power and transform the people for revolution in the second of these interviews. Got questions? Watch this show, the RNL show, and binge watch every show since May 1st. Write us, DM us, and call the Rev Club. Leaving your appreciation at this show on social media with a thumbs up, like, or a write on leaves you and millions like you and billions of people around the world facing a future of increasing horror. And perhaps even extinction from this capitalist system's destruction of the environment, or even a game-ending all-out nuclear war. It's not enough. It's not right when there is a solution. Listen, among the 500,000 people who have seen the TikTok of Bob Avakian speak the truth about the murdering police in his dialogue with Cornel West, one person commented this, quote, "Phew, a lot of people are not ready for this conversation. All right. Yes, a lot of people aren't ready for that right now, but a lot of people like you are, or you wouldn't be writing what you did or hitting the like button or some other emoji routine. Routine won't cut it in a time like this. Things are coming to a head in this country and the world. We are living in a time where there are fascists who are moving to turn back time to an even more vicious overt white supremacy, along with demeaning, degrading, and throwing women, immigrants, and LGBTQ people back into a hellish nightmare. The Democrats have no answers either. They actually tell you that they really can't do shit, but they repeat the same old shit, slathering honeyed promises over the same oppressive system. It's time for a real change. It's time for a real revolution. Things are sharpening, and as they do, more and more people are going to have ears and hearts for the message of revolution. It's time for you to stop turning away from what needs to be done. We hear a lot of older heads saying that these youth out here aren't doing shit but messing each other up. It's madness. Well, if you see the madness, stop your whining and pick up the tools these youth need in the proclamations. We are the Revcoms, and we need and we demand a whole new way to live in a fundamentally different system. And with this RNL show, especially the BA interviews, and go get these materials to the youth and to everyone who has a heart for and a thirst for being a part of emancipating humanity. Now is the time. Revolution is needed. It's possible. There's leadership, a strategy, and a concrete liberating plan for a far better new society. There is no time to waste.